You could. I mean, like I've been flipping back and forth between Cook and Kamara the past 5 months now. I don't know. I don't know which one
You
I
know,
would
those
take
are
when it
both
comes to
running
draft.
backs.
So who would you
Uh,
take,
we
Britt?
all,
Kamara
we
or
all
Cook?
agree. Do it.
Who would you take, Kamara or Cook?
Justin Couch.
What's up, Fackers? We are back with our Fantasy and Chill 101, counting down the top 101 fantasy football players for the 2020 season. Number 6 on our countdown, running back for the New Orleans Saints, Alvin Kamara. He is our 5th ranked running back. Last year he finished as running back number 13. He had 171 carries for 797 yards and 5 touchdowns, to go along with 81 catches for 533 yards and 1 receiving touchdown, and he scored 210.02 fantasy points. All right, so going into last year, he had the great year 2 years ago. He was drafted pretty much consensus a top 3 guy. He went number 3 in our draft to Matt last year. He finished running back 13, so he still had like a good, decent year. He wasn't the top guy. A little bit to do with he was a little banged up. He missed 2 games and was definitely hindered in a couple others. Like he wasn't 100%. He averaged 12.2 carries per game and 7 targets per game. So he's not even getting 20 touches a game. He's very efficient with his touches. He does a lot with them. But last year, if you watched the Saints and paid attention, they actually used Latavius Murray quite a bit. Now, was that due to Kamara being banged up and injured? Or is that just, I'm going down the list, then you can interject?
Because I want to speak on his injury, because he just came out like last week he came out last. He tore his MCL in week 6. So that's why I was speaking.
That's crazy.
Okay, Latavius Murray got a bunch of carries last year and was actually pretty good. And then he's not a big touchdown guy. He only scored 6 touchdowns last year. He only had 7.1 opportunity touchdowns. We talked about that a few episodes ago, just talking about calculate how many touchdowns you should score based on all your opportunities, goal line carries, and stuff like that. So he's just not a big touchdown guy, but he's going to catch a lot of passes. Yeah.
Okay.
He's going to catch a lot of...
You were making it seem like in general he's not a big touchdown guy, but I feel like that's the whole reason he wasn't where he should have been last year.
Yeah, because he only had 7 opportunity touchdowns. Only scored 6. But yeah, he's still going to catch a lot of passes. If he stays healthy, huge part of that Saints offense. So that's why we have him back up at number 6 this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of weird. He's had 81 catches 3 years in a row, all 3 years he's been in the league. He still had almost 100 targets. His rushing numbers were there, I mean, for the most part. It's just the only thing that was basically dragging behind was the touchdowns. And if his touchdowns go back up to 12, 13, he's a top 5 running back every single week. And there's no reason I wouldn't draft him. I do think it was his knee last year. He's so efficient with the ball. Like, he's Aaron Jones, but like the Saints stay with him, I guess. And I mean, you're gonna have to get him 4 or 5 probably in the draft. Maybe Cook and Henry go ahead of him, but I've gotten Kamara at 7 or 8, and I feel so great about that because I feel like he is an easily top 3 pick, top 4 pick.
Kamara's not falling at 7 or 8 though. There's no chance.
I've seen him in plenty of drafts.
Yeah, the mock drafts, so I don't put too much stock in all that. People like drafting weird ways in mock drafts, and
true, but McCaffrey's going to go Saquon and Zeke for sure, right?
Yeah.
In most leagues. And then you have Cook, who was very good for people last year. Derrick Henry finished number 2. And then you have Michael Thomas, who was the number 1 overall wide receiver last year and was a monster. Like, he could easily go 6 or 7.
I think it's just going to come down to whether or not you want to. It feels like every draft, and I think I talked about this in the Cook video too. It's going to be whether or not you want Cook or Kamara, because they're going to go back to back. I just have a feeling like in most drafts that's what's going to happen.
I mean, Keller just said at number 4 he's taking Derrick Henry. If it went McCaffrey, Saquon, and Zeke.
Yes.
So
spoilers.
I mean, that's a thought right there where Kamara is at least going 5. In Keller's eyes. So at 5, Keller, who would you take at 5?
Britt, these are my rankings. Do you not understand this?
Well, no, but your rankings don't have Edwards-Helaire where he should be, and there's a few other guys.
I think he has Helaire behind these guys.
Yeah, I have Helaire at like 10.
So you're telling me at number 5 or 6 you would take Michael Thomas over Kamara?
I would take Michael Thomas at number 5, which is where he's at in my rankings.
Okay, over Kamara. Okay, all right.
Yeah,
Oh, did you do that, Matt? Remember that?
I think a lot of people are in mock drafts are taking Michael Thomas higher than some of these running backs, but when it comes down to the actual
Yes,
draft, when they
you're
get to the
exactly
draft,
right.
they're gonna want. I'm not saying Ryan would do that. I'm just saying a lot of other people are doing that. They're gonna take
I
a
think
running back instead.
I think a
Because,
few beers in Ryan, he'll make the right decision.
and that's, I mean, if he does take a running back or Kamara over Thomas, I don't think that's a bad decision either way. I think you could put those like back to back. You just flip a coin, whichever one you want. It's like you could. I mean, like I've been flipping back and forth between Cook and Kamara the past 5 months now. I don't know. I don't know which one
Yeah,
I would take when it comes to
running
draft.
backs. The problem is if you do go Thomas at 5, you're back at 15 looking at Austin Eckler or maybe Kenyon Drake as your number 1. Like it's such a drastic jump
Let's
and like because
let's save the Thomas draft strategy for next video because we're
Yeah.
doing it next.
Okay. So Kamara.
But we'll talk about Kamara.
So who would you take, Britt? Kamara or Cook?
Do it.
Who would you take, Kamara or Cook?
You would take
Kamara probably. Just
Okay.
because Cook has the injury history and Kamara played through a torn MCL, so that shows me a lot right there. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, Matt, you might not have liked his production last year, but damn it, he only missed, what, 2 games?
2 games, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty crazy.
What was
Like,
weird
he did have a torn MCL.
when he came back too? It's not like because Latavius was great in those 2 weeks. He had 20 plus carries both weeks. I think
Very
100
good.
plus yards both weeks. But when Kamara came back, he was basically the lead back again. I mean,
Yeah.
Latavius had like 7 to 9 carries, but I think Kamara out touched him almost every single game.
Yeah, and I mean, look, if you give him 4 or 5 more touchdowns last year, we're not even having this conversation. He's going number 4 unanimously. It's just because his touchdowns took a little bit of
Yeah.
progression.
Well, I think a lot of people predicted that last year, but they didn't predict the injury, which I think caused a lot of that progression or regression.
Exactly.
Okay, let's talk about if you have Kamara, how focused are you on picking up Latavius Murray toward the end of the draft?
I wouldn't reach for him, but I would definitely have my eye on him. Like, I'm not going to take him in the 5th or 6th round, but, you know, I mean, 8th round, I would honestly like to have a full wide receiver, full running back, and maybe a tight end, and then I would consider taking my handcuff.
Because, like
But
Matt
by
said,
8th
if something does happen to Kamara, Latavius Murray showed last year that he is a number 1. He is a top running back. If he's the lone guy,
It's very
Yes,
similar to
but-
the Chubb Hunt situation.
Yeah, Chubb Hunt. But look, if you're going to get Hunt, you're going to have to take him in the 6th or 7th round. Like, you're taking a guy you're not even going to play who's going to sit on
Well,
your bench.
Latavius is going to go later than that.
Well, yeah, no. I'm just making a point here that like the same thing with Latavius. Like, I mean, you could draft a quarterback or a tight end there, and instead you're going to be taking Latavius just for the same position on the same team for insurance. I understand he would be a top 10 play every week, but the guys that you're going to miss out on too, I don't know.
Let's not forget
Matt,
though,
you
like
have more experience with it than we do.
a couple years ago, Ingram and Kamara in that same offense were both
That's true.
startable
That's true.
running backs, and you would have been perfectly. You'd have been. I mean, I'm not saying Latavius is going to be Mark
Very true.
Ingram, but Latavius is also going way later than Ingram would have gone. So
Okay, well, Matt, you had Cook and Kamara last year, and you didn't have any of their handcuffs, and you tried all season to get them, but in the end, it didn't really hurt you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you didn't
Yeah.
lose anything in the draft capital wise, and you didn't lose anything during the season trading wise either. So,
yeah, my team personally didn't, but some other teams I'm sure got screwed over by Kamara getting hurt
Jimmy
and
Weeds.
Cook. Yeah,
sure.
I just lucked out that I think I would have lost you. I guess it's not really lucky. I think I would have lost either way during those 2 weeks, with or without Latavius.
And I guess to your point, Matt, like that does make sense. Where Latavius, I mean, he could be a guy you could put in your flex with Kamara. He's that good.
He's going to get about 10 to 15 touches per game.
Yeah, but the whole Madison Cook thing, you know what I'm saying? Like Madison's not going to get that many touches a game.
No,
So
no.
like Hunt and Latavius, and there's probably one more.
Pollard maybe to an extent.
I wouldn't even put him there. I feel like it's a Hunt and Latavius, and that's it.
he's talking about guys that can stand alone.
No, I
Yeah,
think
like
Pollard.
a
Some
flex
weeks you
play.
could play Pollard in your flex if you needed to.
What?
He was
Really?
playable last
I
year
don't
in
know
some
about that.
games.
I don't know
What?
about that.
He was playable last year in some games.
Tony Pollard.
Yes.
I know, Matt, but
remember that.
we're talking about the workload per game. Like I feel like Latavius, like you said, and Kareem Hunt are gonna get 10 touches a game, but like Pollard, I mean, they have to be up big. Zeke's gonna get every touch in that game if the game.
I said if you pick your games correctly, he's playable in some games.
That's not what Britt's talking about.
No. Yeah, I'm talking about you could start every week in a flex and be decent.
Well, if you want it, then like Philip Lindsay or something.
Philip Lindsay, yes, that was a great call right there. Yeah.
Or whoever's the second guy in Miami.
Yeah,
Howard.
That's scary. Well, yeah, I guess.
That backfield.
All right, so Alvin Kamara, hopefully, well, not really bounce back because, like I said, he was still pretty good last year, but back into this top 5 guy bounce back year. He is our 5th ranked running back, number 6 overall. Yeah.
Yeah.
We out.